Hello, world. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here for a very special broadcast. It is my very special thought leader conversation where I'm inviting special guests to talk with me about my book, Permission to Sparkle, and a special chapter in the book. And they get to speak from their expertise and their view. And we basically have an interesting conversation where we discuss something that will help you make your life or your business more sparkly. And basically, it's all around claiming your desires and sparking your dream life. This is what we're talking about here. And I have Alan Karis here. And I'm so excited to have you, Alan, because you are such a great person to speak with around this topic because you are all around love and well-being. And so everybody who doesn't know Alan Karis, he specializes in well-being, personal and spiritual development, and is a master in Imagineer. I love that word. And the creator of a really special project called Imagine. And it's a system to help people imagine to be their best that they can be. So it's literally like a similar premise of like making your life more awesome. And it all starts from within, of course. And so welcome, Alan. So happy to have you. Do you want to say anything hello to add to introduce yourself?
First of all, thank you so very much, Astrid, for having me, for inviting me to your broadcast and having a conversation about your amazing book. Oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to getting a copy. Hopefully, maybe if I can get a signed copy sometime when I
Oh,
meet you,
yeah,
I'll love to get your autograph. And
me
I'm delighted to be here and share in this space with you and everyone else watching this. Talking about love, I think is one of the most important topics in all times, always, but most importantly, most recently, it's so important to bring that awareness into this aspect of ourselves and into this aspect of being human, and also it allows us to flow with more ease and grace in our business, in our career, in our families, in everything that we have to and do adventure ourselves into, right? As one of the
Mhm.
things that I have experienced. And yeah, thank you so much. I am so happy to be here and sharing with all of you a wonderful conversation about this.
Okay, super cool. Okay, so let me say which chapter we picked. So the chapter you picked to talk about that we will have a conversation around it is loving yourself no matter what. And I'm going to read the summary of the chapter here that I always have in the book, how this chapter helps. It says, self-love is a foundation for sparkle life. And I almost overlooked to include it in this book because actually I wasn't fully embracing it myself and hence didn't even notice the chapter was missing. In this chapter, you will lay your foundation for your sparkle and your fireworks. Absolutely essential to create anything lasting in your life, from relationships to wealth to health. And also, it's your birthright. So that's what we're talking about here right now. And I'm curious, Alan, what inspired you to pick this chapter? There's got to be some story in your life or something that really you're passionate about. Tell me your glimpse.
Well, actually, there are many reasons, but one of the most important reasons I believe is I've been doing this class experience. I call it loving kindness experience, and I became aware of how important, how valuable it is to bring more awareness and self-love and self-kindness. And I
Mhm.
think it is one of the most important um, endeavors that you can ever venture into in your life, to tapping into more love, because we are always loving outwards, right? We're always
Mhm.
looking for love sources from outside coming in, and that's what we are taught, that's what we are made to believe in, to look for sources outside of us, ourselves, to
Mhm.
receive love, to welcome love. But then also relationships and things that happen in our lives that in a way create blockades or walls that prevent us from experiencing love for ourselves. But not only that, also giving love or receiving love at the same time. So it is so important. And I really love that you included this in your book, because
Mhm.
I consider that self love or self kindness is one of the most fundamental bases, foundations for building your personal spiritual development, to build a career, to build a life that really brings forth your gifts and talents into the world. And
Yeah, I agree.
is like you can have all the success you want in your life, you can have all the greatness that you desire. That is phenomenal, that's possible. Many people do it, but there is also this fundamental need, I guess, that we all humans have, and that is the need to feel loved, to feel accepted, to
Mhm.
feel acknowledged.
Mhm.
And if we are not being loved by ourselves, if we are not acknowledging ourselves, if we're not giving to ourselves that love we wish we all give to others,
Mhm.
then there is a missing part. It is very important to become aware that you can love yourself, that you
Yeah.
can be kind to yourself, and then from this place of fulfillment within you, then everything else is just an added bonus. It
Mhm.
brings more bliss, more joy. It can be a very tiny little thing that can you can experience in your life, but if you are filled with self-love and self-kindness, then that little thing that might be insignificant to any other people, for you, it might be the greatest, best thing ever. And that is sort of like the level of why I chose this chapter, because I have
Mhm.
lived it. I have experienced the downs. I have experienced hurtful relationships, heartbreaks. I have experienced some of the things that you mentioned in the chapter, also about not loving yourself enough. I
Mhm.
mean, there was a point where I was thinking of myself, I'm trash. Like
Wow.
I don't
Mhm.
feel worthy of anything or anyone loving me or caring about me. I've been in those situations, and it is a hard place to be, but I
Mhm.
think that those experiences have taught me to more effortlessly, more easily love myself, to also love others. And yeah, everything that you mentioned in this chapter is so important for everyone to be aware of. Those voices in your head, what is
Mhm.
telling you, what you tell yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning, is like, what are those thoughts that in a way are subconscious but are habitual, that are diminishing your self-confidence and self-value. And that is so so important to nourish that level of awareness every
Yeah.
single day, little by little. It takes a long time, or it takes a little time, depending on how long or how much um, intention you put into creating or experiencing more love for yourself,
Mhm.
and to receive love also, not only from yourself but from others. It's so important. Like many spiritual healers or empaths, we're always loving outside, like, I love
Yeah.
you, I care for you, like we're caring for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're a parent, if you're a mom, you have probably experienced that. You're always caring for others, and it is so important to fill your cup
First.
and then give from the
Yeah,
overflow. Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing all this big bubble of experience that you brought from your world. I'm inspired to quickly like close my eyes and pop my finger in the chapter somewhere and to pick something and elaborate with an example. Um, okay, so here I landed on a paragraph that says, at some point,
Mhm.
I accepted and even started loving my body and having fun with expressing myself. Also, thanks to many inner awareness playful out adventures you get to read here in this book. So, yeah. So you mentioned one thing of looking in the mirror in the morning and that self talk, and I feel like that's a big thing, big example for women especially, that subtle self-judgment that we might not even catch if we're not aware of it. And I sometimes still catch myself, it's like looking like, oh yeah, look, I get wrinkles or whatever. Right. And so to catch that and to be like, wait a minute, no, I love you. You're amazing. And to really like be curious and lean into that. And so to make that a practice, is that how have you shifted from before when you did not have that so much like personally? Like what were like play prompts that you do with your clients in your spaces now?
Yeah, the mirror is one of the most. I share that with everyone. Actually, is look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the eyes, especially if
Mhm.
you look at yourself in your left eye
Oh, love
and
that.
attentively give attention to your left eye. Your left eye is kind of like connected to your heart, and
Oh.
that's I don't remember where I learned that, but it is one of the things that you can do, and tenderly just gaze at your face in the
Mhm.
morning. Just look and try to find a place where you have no labels, no thoughts, no emotions, nothing is coming up. There's just that presence, and be present with yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror, and then you will experience some discomfort maybe at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then eventually you're gonna start smiling naturally.
Nice. You just stay with it? Is that what you're doing? So you stay with it
Stay with that.
until you feel good and like you dissolve it by being present. That's really powerful. Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of time to do that, then just look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a smile. I mean,
Mhm.
just smile at yourself. It's like, hi, good
Nice.
morning. It's like, hello, beautiful, or just say something nice to yourself. I mean, we can be kind to ourselves, and it is not from a place of egocentrism
Or
or
just
being
stories.
conceited. You're
Mhm.
not being conceited. You are acknowledging yourself. I mean, it's so important to acknowledge ourselves so that we are not looking outside for acknowledgement,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And if we do receive a compliment, we welcome it with more openness and willingness to say thank you.
Mhm.
You know, that is more easy for us to do that. So I think the most important thing is to do that. Also, another thing that I like to do is just be grateful in the morning. First thing in the morning, that's what I started doing every single day. Is just as soon as I wake up, I feel my body,
Mhm.
touch my face, grab
Mhm.
myself, just give myself a hug, and
Mhm.
say, "Ah, thank you. I am so grateful for this body. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this physical body. It's beautiful. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you." And
Nice.
and then I'll go to the mirror and then say, "Hi, good morning." You know, it will be completely
Right.
different. You
I
you
love
can
it.
play you can play with different things and what
Mhm.
works for you, but those are some of like the most generalized and most effective things that can work for anyone really.
So beautiful.
Just give yourself an opportunity. You know you better,
Mhm.
so look and see what works for you, what brings you joy, uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
what feels good to you to give to you first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning is the most important thing. Then you can, do that also during the day or after,
Mhm.
before you go to sleep. You can
Mhm.
repeat the same process so
Yeah.
that you go to sleep, you implant in the subconscious mind that you love yourself, that you acknowledge yourself. And then when you wake up, then it is easier for you to say, thank you so much. Thank you. I love you. My body is beautiful. And, you begin to feel that more tender love and kindness for yourself.
I want to invite everybody to give yourself a hug as you watch this conversation. Also, the replay right now. I love this play prompt so much, Alan. Thank you for sharing that. So good.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
Yeah.
there's a
How
slight
often do we get to hug ourselves, right?
hang on. There's a slight background when I talk on your end. If there's something you need to turn off. Oh, now
Mm,
huh, we had double love going. Maybe that was the echo.
everything sounds good on my end.
Good. So I love that you gave an additional play prompt, and I know that it's a practice. Like I've been curious about that. Like the whole time I wrote this book, and even before then, I was curious how can I expand self love for myself. And uh, your play prompt is such a tangible one. It's so beautiful. Also, especially in today's times, I feel with all the negative media, with people can have like habits of like waking up and you look at your phone of like, well, what messages did I get? What happened? What's the news? Like some people watch the news first thing in the morning. Like, what do you feed your energy with? Is it loving energy, or is it war energy? Right? Like, so we have that choice, and that's a big thing about my book too, that we can always choose what we give to ourselves, and that's a piece of self-love too, right? To
Mhm.
give ourselves permission. That's why my book is called Permission to Sparkle. Give ourselves permission to choose something that makes us feel good, and that all of that is around, that's love, right? And like, you said something really interesting, this not being able to receive when we don't fill our cup first. And I have an example in the book that I just reread. I actually had I was dancing one time in a club many years ago. I was dancing with somebody, and he told me, "You have beautiful eyes." And I could not receive that compliment. I was like, I didn't even make my body. Like, how dare you say like I have beautiful eyes? It's so superficial. I was thinking that to myself, right? And it was like literally here. I did not even receive the compliment because I didn't see that for myself and feel that for myself. And it's so interesting. I mean, love is one example, right? It's like where the goodness bounced back because I didn't fill my cup first with that love for myself. And this can happen with money in business, right? If we don't love ourselves, we don't dare to ask, we don't deserve.
Mhm.
If all, like in all areas, it's we make our life more sparkly when we love ourselves first. So I love that she also said it's a foundation. I totally agree. It's an absolute one of those foundation things to build anything and to thrive. Yeah. Do you have a story for you, something that came up, or I can pick my finger in the for a play prompt as well, whichever you want.
We can do both, absolutely. And just to reaffirm and reiterate what I said, is gratitude for me has been the most fundamental keys that open the door for me to be more self-loving and self-kind. So give gratitude a go every single day, and you will get so much quicker and faster to that level of self-love that will
Mm,
allow you to give more love more freely, more happily, but also to receive love more
yeah.
effortlessly. And I appreciate and welcome it, integrate it into your body, because that is fundamental in your life for a
Mm,
fulfilling, happy, successful life. I
yeah.
think that is fundamental. And yes, so just to say, there was a time when I was told in a relationship that they said, "You're overwhelming."
Mm.
You're overwhelming. I'm like, what do you mean overwhelming? Yeah, there is so much love coming from you. I can't take it all. Like, see, so at the time I felt like, something's wrong with me. But guess what? The person wasn't loving themselves enough to be
Yeah,
able
wow.
to welcome and receive the love. So
Mhm.
here's a thought. The amount of love you're able to receive is equal or similar to the amount of love that you give to yourself,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
So that kind of goes with this story that you share about this man complimenting your eyes. And
Mhm.
so, do you love your eyes? Do you love this part of your body? Do you love your ears? There is some things that we love most about ourselves, right? And there are some things that we don't like too much about ourselves. So when somebody compliments a part of you that you don't love so much, you kind of like immediately kind of like disregard it, like
Mhm.
whatever. It's like, I don't believe you, because you don't believe that this part of you is worthy of your love,
Yeah.
right?
That's a
So
reflection to catch that. Basically, when something happens, that's the game I play in the book too, is like basically like when something doesn't feel good, like to catch, like, okay, pause. And you're like, wait, what story am I telling myself? And then we can then we step back and then we can play with it as opposed to just reacting and autopilot and feeling icky. So whenever we don't feel good, that can be the first stopping point. And then looking at, oh, because with, and I love that example, with the dancing situation there. I could have taken that story then and said like, okay, so I don't love my eyes. I don't love my eyes. Like, so, and then take that like later and like, oh, so what would it take for me to love my eyes? And like just kind of like stay curious and then and make it a thing. Like whenever I find like a body part that somehow either I judge or somebody tells me a compliment and I don't believe it or whatever, then I could be like, oh, what am I telling myself? Yeah, like in that magazine, that lady was skinnier or curvier or whatever the heck, and so that's why my body is not. I don't love that part. So we can catch all those thoughts and then like dissolve them more and more. And I feel, and this is one thing that happened in my book too, as I stay curious. And we can do this by journaling or talking to ourselves in the mirror, like speaking, like, or to somebody. As we have that conversation, like what happened for me is like suddenly it all started becoming ridiculous. It's like those stories that I told myself, like here, I was like, I was having this inner conversation with my inner critic, and I was like, "So yeah, you." I don't even like. I would have to read it aloud, and I don't want to go into all the details, but it was like I saw it at some point. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a bully talking, and like that's not me, and that doesn't even make sense, and it's not even my story or whatever. So we can catch those things. It doesn't even take that long to catch it, and then we can shift the energy, and then when it comes again, then we can if it comes again, then we can practice again. And like I love that you give a gratitude tool too, which is like that dissolves so much. So when we have like literally like with the eye example, I could be like, oh, I'm so grateful for you eyes.
Right.
Ah, because you allow me to see. And I actually like the colors and like whatever. Like what do I like about? So yeah.
Yeah, become curious about it.
Mhm.
There was a time that I didn't like the color of my eyes. They're dark brown. And I was like, oh, I wish I had blue eyes. I wish I had green eyes. I wish I had some other color of our eyes. And there was a time that I studied iridiology, and I had to
Yeah.
literally self iridiology. You look at the iris in your eyes, and then you
Yeah.
look at the different parts in there, and you can tell if there is any um, toxicity in your body, in your organs, and so I learned this when I was a little kid, and I literally spent, because I was studying this, I spent a lot of time with a magnifying glass and a mirror looking at my eyes, and I became very curious about my eyes. How is it that they're put together? Oh my goodness, look at this little feature right here. Oh, I really like that part in the. So you start to love little bit of that. So if
Right.
there's any part in your body or anything about you that you don't like, then just open yourself to curiosity and say, okay, let me look closer. Maybe I can find something that I really love about this. So, oh, oh, look at this. This is this little part. Like if you don't if you don't like your ear, like maybe you don't like your whole ear. Maybe you can find a little part of your ear that you love.
Yeah.
Or there was a time I didn't like my teeth
Mhm.
because they were all crooked and weird, and they're still somehow a little bit like that. But there is times that I look at myself in the mirror, and I remember how I used to feel about my teeth. I remember how what thoughts, emotions, things I will say to myself. And I'm very happy to share with you this, Astrid, and everyone watching this, is that the grand majority of the thoughts or stories that you tell yourself, that inner critic, that inner bully that's telling you all these things about yourself, that is other than loving and kind,
Mhm.
is usually belief systems,
Mhm.
thoughts, um, programming, societal, cultural, religious, etc., thoughts, emotions, and or thought forms that are not even yours, That's something that you picked up because somebody said, oh, this person is beautiful because they have this and this and that. And then you look at yourself and you compare, like, I'm not like that, so I'm not beautiful. So you start seeing that, but that is something that builds up over time. And being a conscious person, you can begin to notice and become aware of, okay, this thought that I just had about myself, is that mine or is somebody else's?
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
think about that. You pause before you continue with the flow of the thought and say,
Mhm.
oh, I look fatter than yesterday or something like that. Or there is something, oh, look at this, my leg is this, or I have an extra wrinkle this morning. Like, oh no, I have or this gray hair. To look at yourself, but pause for a moment and say, okay, where did this thought came from? Did it come from me or did it come from an outside source? And almost 99% of the time will be from an outside source.
Yeah.
So you look at that and become aware of that. Become aware of the stories that you're telling yourself and see where they're coming from exactly, you know,
Mhm.
and
I
you will
agree.
feel so much better about yourself, about your life, about who you are. You will be more loving, more kind, because you will understand that the things that you're thinking about yourself are either things that you heard when you were little, are either things that you learned
Mhm.
to tell yourself,
Mhm.
are things that perhaps you wish somebody had told you and nobody has told you before. So there is that emptiness there, right? So you feel it with self love and self kindness. And suddenly you start to feel like, oh, I feel more whole. I feel more
Yeah.
complete. I feel
Yeah.
more worthy. I feel more confident.
Mhm.
All of these wonderful things. So this is a topic that we can continue talking about for many, many hours and different sessions. Um, love, self-love is again a fundamental aspect of who you are. We all strive to or thrive in self-acknowledgement, in acknowledgement from others. But the most important acknowledgement, so that you can happily receive acknowledgement from others, is you acknowledge yourself, you love
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
Then when you get compliments, when you get acknowledgement from other people, you say thank you, and you feel like, oh, that's an added bonus. It's just another
Yeah.
drop in the cup, and it
Yeah.
just makes it overflow even more, right?
Then you recognize it that yes, I believe that too. And if you don't believe it for yourself, then you can't receive it. So others will simply light up more of your light because you see your own light. Yeah. And so I love that you talked a lot about the mirror, and we're almost at 30 minutes. So I don't want to go much over 30, keeping around that. So there's a lot of like looking at the outside, but I want to encourage people to also like, in addition to these cool exercises, to close your eyes and feel your awesomeness, even without seeing anything. And I'm currently reading an Eckhart Tolle book, and he's talking about this feeling the own presence. You can feel like the blood flowing inside, and as you just presence up to like feeling what's going on inside of your body kind of thing, then you suddenly start also detaching yourself from all the outside stuff and what we see, because then at some point it doesn't even matter that much, because we are an essence, and this is a reflection that's temporary. Everything is temporary on the outside, but we are loving beings. We are that always, with no matter what happens. Like it's like in my cancer journey, like one of the wild things, it actually helped me to claim more of my self-love, because I had to experience, or I got to experience, the thought. I had to let go of so much. I had to let go of hair, of of like hair all over my body. I had to let go of the thought of like not possibly not being able to keep my boobs, and even like my fingernails, like all kinds of things were just like, okay, let go of this, let go, let go, let go. Uh, and it was uh, a really great opportunity to grow, to detach from attachment to things that we think define us somehow, but it really comes from the inside. So yeah, any closing word to that before I point people to your awesome spaces where they can meet you more?
Oh, Astrid, you touched on one of the most important. I think what you talk about right now is like the next step, or is like
Mhm.
the one of the most important steps that I also took, is to go within myself,
Mhm. Yeah.
and go to that inner journey and connect to the source of the
Mhm.
love that I feel within myself.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have a physical body to feel that.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
close your eyes, like you say. I also did that exercise with the cartoli. It's like you close your eyes, and then you just put your hands on your lap, and then if you notice, pay attention to your hand. Do you still have a hand even though you cannot see it? And if
Mhm.
it's still there, then you still have a hand. I mean, seriously, that's part of what happens for us. We are connected to our physical body in a way, but in the essence, on the inside, it is the most important. That's where we find
Mhm.
that true connection to self-love and
Mhm.
self-kindness. But
Yeah.
doing these outside play things that, like you were sharing, those are little steps that take you closer and closer and faster, so that you can, when you arrive to that inner space, you are more confident and more willing and more accepting of yourself.
Mhm.
And that is like what I've experienced. It helped me tremendously to do that. But yeah, absolutely, that inner source of love
Mhm.
is the treasure
Yeah, that's a real treasure.
within the treasure.
Yeah,
That's like,
yes, exactly. We're just
yeah,
packaging.
yes.
The magical packaging for a magical diamond that we are inside. Yes. Awesome. Well, we are at about half an hour, so I want to show people again where they can meet you to learn more about Alan Karas. Visit his website. My German accent comes in. Withinology and withinology.com. Connect, enjoy, and social media channels are Alan Karas, and he has a really cool project called Imagine, and it's all around well-being, personal and spiritual development. And you also have more cool things like loving kindness experience. I saw that, like a membership where people can join and join in a meditation of making that a practice. So Alan is a great resource if you want more for that. If you're curious about playing with my book to make your life more sparkly, it's already on Amazon, Permission to Sparkle. I will have a book party next month, though. If you want to be present live in the book party or see it, say yes in the comments, and I will make sure to notify you. I will look for supporters who want to buy my book on that day, because that will help me get like a higher ranking on Amazon and get more people seeing the book. So yeah, you saw a glimpse. I'm excited that for all of you who watch this, because you are curious to make your life more sparkly, and that in turn allows everybody around you and the planet to see you in your awesomeness, and you help people more in that way. So thank you for having shown up for yourself. We would both love to see any comments, anything that resonated with you in this conversation. And yeah, follow us. Stay tuned for more. There'll be more interviews, and stay on the path to sparkle. Stay curious.
Yay! Thank you, Astrid.
Thank you so much, Alan, and everyone else also.
Much
Bye.
love.